And it's Gimbalabs Playground, 14th of May, 2024. We are here like we are every Tuesday at 1800 UTC, where we get together and talk about stuff. What kind of stuff? Well, you can see a list here on our public Miro. This is accessible at gimbalabs.com/playground. We've been meeting since September. For our third season of Gimbalabs Playground, you can find prior seasons spanning 2021 to 2023 linked here on the board. And you can peruse the different folks who have presented on all sorts of different topics. Now, Hinson is back today, right? October 10th, my little brother's birthday. You presented on CNS. And today, here for another project, DeltaDeFi. I've been hearing you talk about this for a while, but actually haven't experienced it for myself yet. So I'm so excited to hear what's up today and where you guys are at. I know there's been some exciting things. But before we do, we'll do a few more sessions. Nin is going to visit next week. Aisteen is going to follow up with a concept from Builderfest on the 28th. Claudio, I'm so pumped to see you on here on the 4th. And then we've got two more sessions open, 11th and 18th, before we're going to take a little break for summer and won't be running Playground in the months of July and August this year. Okay. But we'll be back in the fall, and this is the idea. All presentations are welcome if you want to pitch a product or ask for feedback or just start a big picture conversation, or as often happens, some example of all of the above. You're welcome here. All you have to do to sign up is find the link to this Miro board. Once again, it's at gimbalabs.com/playground. Find this chart. It's in the top left side of the page right here. Find an empty slot, chat your name, what you want to talk about, and that's it. You're officially scheduled. So Hinson, I didn't even realize you were scheduled until like yesterday. So thanks for signing up for this one. What you got for us today?
Yeah, I'm so happy just to be here to sharing some ideas because I just like this Gimbalabs Playground sessions to share some of the latest piece of products. For example, in half years ago, I shared about CNS, and right now CNS is going mainnet already. And now I kind of putting my focus more onto DeltaDeFi, which is a project that I actually co-founded with several partners together. And now we are going into a stage where getting some tractions in terms of the local startup ecosystem. And also right now we are doing pretty good conversation with private investors as well. So hopefully we could bring some news about onboarding some VC onto Cardano's project pretty soon as well. And right now we are on the product side. We have completed most of the backend, but I just told James before this session that very regretfully I could not do really a live demo onto the product today, just because of some of the latest features updates that broken something on the front end. But no worry, I've got the recording before, so I will certainly go for that, participate for the recordings and walk through the products. So yeah, just let me try to jump into the topics today. Probably there are a lot of people around the Cardano ecosystem is very interested into why bother building another desk. It's like there's already a lot of desks right now on the Cardano blockchain. So if it's feeling like there's one saying that for most of the projects that building on Cardano, they want to build a desk because it's the easiest way to issue a token, and then so that you could just try to talk to the private investors easier because you've got a token that's probably with a market initially or even without your product. But this is definitely not the idea of DeltaDeFi because we didn't really think about the token prior into getting our product mostly done, actually, just until recently when we really have to think about a medium and longer term plan. we start to think about token. And I will also talk about something about the high level plan we have for DeltaDeFi around token, but nothing in details is fixed right now. So we built this product. Yeah, German just back to the main reason we built this product because we have several friends around us in Hong Kong. Like as many of you guys may know that Hong Kong is a huge is a kind of a place that with huge focus in financial services. For example, me myself, I actually coming from banking and finance as well. I got the CFA and titles, and I'm chartered ready. I have a bunch of friends. They're working in the primary market and secondary markets. So it's actually one occasion where I talked to one of my very close trader friend that we met in the first year in my university, that I just asked him randomly about why don't you trade on DeFi? Like I know him putting most of his money inside Binance, and he's playing his API trading programmatically in Binance, but I didn't really hear about him trading on any on the DeFi protocols. So by that time, DeltaDeFi is already there. Like DeltaDeFi started in 2022, but it's nothing similar to the current situation. We started off just me trying to randomly think about some derivatives that not existing on Cardano and bring them onto Cardano one by one. But at that time, I was just about to ask my friend how he see about decentralized option protocols. But my friend didn't really answer to my question. Like he said, I never trade on DeFi. Why? If I want to place an order, it would just cost me some fees. Like for example, in Cardano, when you say normal transaction sending fund, probably 0.177 around that Ether costing you. And when he want to cancel the orders, it's also charging you a fee because it's literally just unlocking a UTXO from smart contract in Cardano. And that's feeling normal to us as a crypto native users. But when we talk about professional traders, it's not acceptable at all. Like we are not talking about 17 cents Ether. Even it's only 1 cent Ether per order creation and order cancellation is not acceptable. Because when you think about their trading patterns, it's like the market is moving like every second. And what they really need is just to profit from that, for example, 5 basis point. And for some of the trading strategy, that very common one is that, for example, current Ether price is like 45 cents. Maybe they have 100 ask order at 50 cents and 100 bid order at 40 cents. And when the market price moving upwards and downwards, they actually have to cancel all of their 200 orders and then just move it upward and downwards on a every second kind of intervals. So when you think about this, current DeFi protocol around literally every blockchain. Yeah. Currently just literally every DeFi protocol on every blockchain, mostly people just cannot trade on that because no matter Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, you still have to pay a gas fee for every order you place or transaction fee on our occasion. And you have to pay a fee when you want to cancel the order. So this is a kind of the points that turning us into thinking about whether we could build something to solve this problem. So this is the kind of the early story of DeltaDeFi. And I try to share the screen now to just talk through a little bit onto the early story of DeltaDeFi before us going into the product. Because I think, it's maybe interesting to the community to learn more about the background rather than just jumping into what's actually it is. So right after that conversation with our friends, like around half year or 9 months or somewhere around that ago, we start to think about if it is possible for us to bring this high frequency trading capability onto Cardano. And then that's the time I also getting more deeper into the Catalyst ecosystem and learning more about this. So that this is actually the fund 11 rounds that we write extremely serious proposal, just to proposing researching on the ideas. Although you could take a look into the milestone that we only completed milestone 1, but actually from milestone 2, this is a Gitbook documentation. We already have a lot of messy documentation on our own. It is just, I have to take time to put it on. And the milestone 3 is actually the white paper we have already done as well, and we publish it very quickly. And those are some of the reports. But most of the substance of this catalyst proposal has been done already. And we are pretty confident that there's actually one architecture that we identify amongst maybe other possibilities, but we have identified one pattern that we could achieve that the no order creation fees, no order cancellation fees, or even instant order finality. This is really important to contractors as well, because once you hit the API on Binance, you want Binance to return to you immediately whether your transaction is successful or not, so that you could place another orders on, let's say, other exchanges or maybe DeFi protocol, maybe to do some arbitrage or some more advanced strategies. So this is also a very important kind of features that the high frequency traders are needed. But we come with a architecture that's, yeah, just on paper, everything makes sense. So just 3 months ago that we actually start to developing the MVP. And right now we have most of the MVP completed already, and we are planning into the front end. And so, yeah, so this is the kind of very early stage that about DeltaDeFi. So right now we have a front end landing page that is not really polished yet. It's probably feeling a little bit weird when you feel on mobile, but we're fixing it. Talking about some of the major features, like order management costs, is like when you try to modify your order, raising or lowering the limit price a bit, canceling, then yeah, the cost is just lower compared to any other things. Optimizing for security and speed is like, although we have achieved those kind of things, but still DeltaDeFi is a DeFi protocol, which means that it is fully non-custodial. Like our platform do not have any discretion on the user fund. As of speed, it's the instant order finality that I've been talking about. So with all these design, it's very also natively for us to provide programmatic access to those contractors. We have been kind of referencing the documentation, API documentation of Binance to try to build our APIs. So pretty much, we are just thinking about an ideal stage is that those Binance contractor, they're just on board into Cardano very, very quickly and natively. Although they do have to get some aiders, and also after building the transaction, they have to cite the transaction back. There's also there's one extra step needed because it's fully non-custodial, but all the user experience is pretty much very similar. So yeah. This is the interface, the latest interface that we have got. So literally you have to connect the wallet. There's something broken, but this probably fine. You have to connect the wallet. After connecting the wallet, you have logged into the account. And then that's where you could start to depositing some money into the application. When we talk about depositing, it's not sending to our wallet, it's sending into a smart contract. There's only you as the owner could decide how to spend the money, including withdrawal and also placing the orders. And then you could just start placing buy or sell order, market or limit right now. So there's a very simple interface that we have got so far. And yeah, it's a little bit broken, the user interface right now. But yeah, so this is our current stage. And hopefully I would try to put some lighter this week as well to try to really start to having our alpha launch, which we will invite some users to start trading on it and giving us some feedback. So yeah, up to this point is if there is any questions from any one of you, I just stop here a bit because I don't want to just directly talk through an hour. Yeah, Steve.
So when you say off chain to enable this high speed stuff, do you mean side chain? Do you mean a Hydra head, or where off chain does this stuff happen?
Not exactly. When we talk about off chain, it's just mostly our backend computations. Just we solely relying on the Cardano mainnet. However, we do have the Audible engine hosted. I think it's somewhat similar to ESO. Like when you hit our API, our backend actually will select the best order for you to match if you're doing a market order. And also if you're doing a limit order, yeah.
I was just wondering would it be better? I mean, do you think that satisfies traders? I mean, would they be more impressed if all of that was like visible on a side chain or a Hydra chain, instead of your back end?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it seems like that's how. I mean, my suspicion always is that when people are leveraging, it's the exchanges that are taking their money, right?
Yeah. So this is our pitch that showing to our investors or potential investors. So this graph may kind of explain why we do this kind of design choice. Like for most of the DEXs right now on the blockchain ecosystem, it's either the early those, like they are pretty secure, like they deploy on Ethereum. We have nothing to do with Ethereum securities. If they solve those very hacky issues like reentrancies, these kind of things. But if they're directly building on those very secure blockchain, it's just very difficult to be scalable. Like for Uniswap, everyone's know initially is not fast at all. It's very expensive if you want to trade on it. Like the gas fee is expensive, and yeah, computation is expensive, and it's very slow. And right after those first batches of DEXs coming into the blockchain in general, just there are also some other projects that they have identified the same problem as me. Like they want the old money or the Web2 traders or the non-crypto native traders that they could just trading on blockchains in a more efficient ways. Those where these protocols come into mind. What are they? They are those protocol either choosing a really, really fast blockchain like Solana, or they're spinning up a side chain or spinning up their own blockchain to process the order. They could be very, very efficient because they customize everything, or they're just relying on a very fast blockchain. But if it comes to some concern in security, like for example, if you're choosing a fast blockchain like Solana, probably you will know what's the risk. I think it's somehow acceptable for a certain group of users, but probably not everyone. Like if you're having 10 millions of dollars you want to trade on DeFi, probably you'll be feeling a little bit not secure if relying on those very fast blockchain. On one thing is that you might just think about the protocol level if it is safe, but on the trader's perspective, there's actually one more kind of practical issues, like when the network is having some problem, have to restart, their money actually stuck in there. And that's where the exposure can be managed. Like, for example, they might not want to take too much exposure into any crypto, but on that particular occasion, the blockchain just having some issues, just the portfolio can be ruined directly or totally. This is the same for some other self-spin up blockchain. For example, DYD is probably our I will identify as the biggest competitors, because they're actually just solving exactly the same problem that we have identified. But their solution is to try to spin up a own Cosmo blockchain to process the orders. So the upside is that they're very, very efficient, but the downside is that every user have to trust on their own blockchain. So when we try to use sidechain or other fast blockchain layer 2 to solve the scalability issues, it comes with some cost. However, this is exactly what our strength I identify, because we can directly deploy on Cardano mainnet, where the blockchain itself is not fast. Everyone knows. However, we can still make the UX to be extremely fast. Like we control a lot of order flow in our backend. This is something that we decentralize, but we have other mechanism to mitigate that. However, the good thing is once our API return to the user in, let's say 300 to 500 milliseconds, saying that your order is confirmed, that's actually your order is confirmed. You don't have to wait for the blockchain to settle, taking some seconds. And it's very secure because we're directly on the Cardano mainnet. Everyone knows that we are extremely secure. It's our strength. And also we could still pursue for the scalability and speed. So hopefully, yeah, that could answer some of your doubts.
So I mean, are y'all thinking about decentralizing your backend, or are you just going to do that in-house servers?
We have our backend server deploy on different cloud infrastructure. We are not fixed yet, but we do have the backend to process the API logics and also order book logic with a couple of servers in our backend to do it. Yeah.
I guess the high speed traders don't really care about looking at all of that.
Yeah.
Is that true? That's the assumption.
Yeah, because we are a very niche protocol that we are solely targeting for the real traders. Like what they care about is the safety of their fund and the speed. That's all. And they don't care about whether your kind of processes, whether it's fully decentralized, like doing every computation on the blockchain. They do not care much about it. They just care about whether their order could be just executed immediately, so they could place their trade elsewhere to make that strategy happen. Yeah. So next, maybe I try to show this product demo. This is exactly the same kind of application as here. Just these pricing and audible is not built yet, but for most of the backend as logic is connected. So I just very quickly walk through what's happening. Like firstly you connect a wallet to log into your account, and then after depositing, you can see there's some money inside the application. You can start placing the order. Well, there is just place a buy limit order, for example, 60 cents on Ether. And then this is where I start the transaction. And then after the transaction is signed, you can see that immediately the API has returned to the client or the API traders that the order has been posted already. Just as immediate response onto the order. And then it's also reflected onto the order book immediately, so that for our users, like in our kind of updated front end, they could just see the order immediately popping in here directly, just by the same time. And then, yeah.
So the moment that order is placed, now it's in the public order book.
Yeah, exactly.
We have like there's a faster responsiveness time just to kind of see the current state of a market.
Yeah, exactly. And it is also the real order books. But what we did is we throttle the transaction in our backend, that we do not submit the transaction immediately until the another market participant has matched the order. So that's why when you place an order, there's no transaction fee. So this is a very, very simple logic behind the thing, just because the transaction is not on chain yet. So that's why there's no fee. So it's actually before your order being filled by the counterparty, you could always submit a cancel order API request. So that's where we're just taking away your order from the public order book, and then your order just never going into blockchain anytime. So that's why you can also cancel your order without any fees. So this is some of the kind of basically just the logic of what we are doing. It's very simple. There's no rocket science indeed. Probably for any of the competitor, if they want to do it, if they do listen to this live coding, they could probably just try to copy it. But certainly from our side, we could also, we will how do you say, apply for, or we'll also get an IP for this in the future when this product becoming more and more solid. Yeah, and this is the transaction where another market participant tried to submit market orders, and right now I was just performing a login kind of operation. This is where I try to do a market order. You see, I turn into a selling either market order, and then here I start the transaction. You see, also by the real time, the response is returning to the users. And what's happening on the backend is that we are also using one Cardano cookie technique, which is transaction chaining. You see, until this point, we are posting the limit order and then posting the market order all together. And then by the real time, we will also returning the information back to the users. So that's where we could complete the feature of real-time kind of market order confirmations as well. And this is the only moment where on-chain transaction actually happen. And this is also the place where we charge the user fee, the transaction fee. And we will our current design is we will charge a flat fee that we talk to users, like for example, 15 basis point or 20 basis point or 10 basis point per trade. It's just flat 15 basis point. And then for the blockchain kind of transaction fee, our backend will cover it for the users. So it's 100% transparent fee schedule, no battery fees, no blockchain fees, no any other kind of weird features around. And this where we go into the Cardano scan or Explorer to check the two transactions. And you can see that actually for both transactions, they're happening on the same block because we are doing the transaction chaining. And then when we see the second transaction, it is where we charge the user's fee on below. Yeah, here. This is the only moment that we will charge the user fee. And you can see this fee is not kind of rounded up or down because we charge the user flat fee. As I remember, this testing is charging 3 Ether in total from both users. And then, for the remaining 0.41 is the blockchain transaction fee indeed. So that's why we can cover it for the users. From the user's point of view, for both of them, they could just see only 1.5 Ether going out from their wallet or their account because they're deposited into the apps. So yeah, this is a very quick demo on the product. I also try to stop a bit here, see anyone got any question at this point. Yeah, Harsha.
So I have a quick question in terms of people who do high frequency trading. Wouldn't they need like a chart that goes with all of this so that they can do like all the high frequency trading in one place as opposed to going to tap tools or some other thing and checking the charts?
What do you mean by checking the chat?
Just the price action.
I see. So I think for those trader, they could track multiple sources. For example, our platform do have the price feed, which is the latest transaction price. However, for the real professional trader, usually they just plug into CoinGecko API, Binance API, several APIs to track the market prices. So that's where their strategy relying on. And when they see our order book got the price inefficiency, for example, is pricing a little bit higher or lower, that's where they could capture profits from. Yeah. Steve?
Yeah, I'm wondering, like when you imagine a bull market in crypto, like we all seem to expect, like when the price is going up 20 or 30% in a day, have you all thought about a mechanism for adjusting your transaction fees in those kinds of scenarios so that they stay cheap?
What do you mean by stake key?
Well, I mean, like right now, like a 1.5 ADA fee would be like what 60 cents, but
Yeah.
I mean, it could jump up to $1, and then they're paying, $1.50, and they may feel like that's too expensive. You know
I
what I'm
see.
saying? But
Yeah, but it's actually it's a very standard kind of trading mechanism, which is charging on a percentage on your trading volume. So we are actually fixing the percentage. When we say that charging 1.5 ADA, it's because on this example, they're trading against ADA. So ADA is the kind of the denominator, and also, yeah, denominators, so that we just charge on that directly, just depending on the transaction volume and
I
size.
guess it'll be great when ADA is $100, right? Good for the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, so when ADA just go up because the transaction size also goes up. So it just naturally the transaction fee will also goes up. Yeah. So yeah, what should I go next? So yeah, so this is the kind of the current status. I can also kind of talk a bit about our kind of current status. These are our partners. We are very happy to have James kind of agreement on to putting Gimbalabs onto our partners so that we could just do more kind of back and forth education like this. For example, just sharing a bit our kind of development know-how back to the community, and also meanwhile we kind of still leveraging this opportunity to expand our kind of brand awareness. However, in Hong Kong or the local startup ecosystem, we're already getting into several kind of publicly acknowledged programs. For example, the City University Tech 300 programs, we got into the seed fund round. AWS Idea Launcher, we have got a bunch of free credits from them. And we are also getting into the Hong Kong Science Park Incubation Program, which is the kind of largest kind of participation in the public funding programs that we have got so far. And yeah, and in current stage, we're talking into several VCs and also some of the market makers or professional traders. So far, the feedback is quite good, and I would say, just for the project itself, I do not see it actually in the future just staying directly competing into other desks. I was seeing us not as a direct competitor because when you look into the target customer, our target customer is quite different to MinSwap. For example, like MinSwap are mostly serving the more Cardano native users that they just want to trade a lot of different more exotic tokens. However, for us, is probably we're just onboarding the largest pairs one by one. And we just want to keep the liquidity tight into some trading pairs, really to serving the needs of traders. If there's no need, it doesn't make sense for us to just maintain another trading pairs. And then going forward, we also looking into some institutional adoption where the exact trading engine, we want to make it applicable into something not 100% decentralized. For example, what I remember is Steve just mentioned, like sidechain, those kind of things, or private layer 2. This is also some of our direction going forward. Because DeltaDeFi, I think we as a team, we are not decentralized masses after all. Although we like the idea of decentralization, but we are actually adoption masses. Just we want to push the adoption as much as possible. We are building every tiny features according to the user's requirements. Yeah, so I think this is more or less most of the points that I just want to share with the community. Yeah, as a final note, we have 2 Fund 12 proposals. Do some marketing here, 2 sentences. One is just ongoing, just kind of making our MVP, the prototype that I just shown everyone, to be more solid, including making everything just perfectly working fine, and then we push it to the mainnet. And the second one is about open source libraries for high frequency traders or tradings. For this one, we're building a bunch of SDKs where if you would like to just trade programmatically on DeltaDeFi, you just do it directly. And second part of it, we'll also do a demo onto how to build a trading bot, trading in DeltaDeFi directly. Like you could plug in your strategies, we will have some example strategy provided, and you also customize your strategy, and then you could just directly trading on DeltaDeFi, like building transaction, signing transaction automatically. And this, we are expecting the user experience is very, very similar to people are really trading on Binance. Why we want to do this is that we have already got a bunch of our friends, like in Hong Kong. It could be some con traders. They have, for example, individually got a few hundred Ks of US dollars. They're just trading around different ecosystem, maybe centralized exchanges the most, probably for some decentralized exchanges as well. They're always telling us if we are some supports into the tech side or the just a onboarding and integration. They were just onboarding those liquidity onto the Cardano. And also for some of our friends, they're actually, even with high stakes, there are some hedge fund managers in some Hong Kong hedge fund with million or billion dollars of AUMs. They do have the discretion to decide on the strategy, including some DeFi tradings. So they're still waiting for these kind of tools. So if we build these tools, we are getting a higher confidence into really onboarding the fresh liquidity onto the Cardano. Because for us, we don't really talk about a lot what we are different to Ethos, what we're different to mint swaps, those kind of things. Because for DeltaDeFi, our focus is not just looking into our internal liquidity. When we look into our Cardano, the pie of Cardano is just that small, I would say, very frankly. It doesn't make sense for just saying, hey, this is a competitor, that is a competitor, and try to do just taking market shares from any other desks. It just doesn't make sense. When we just look into the trading volume on Cardano right now, it's like 6 to 10 million a day. It's just the upper limit, I would say. And when you look into any other major layer ones out there, for example, Solana, every day they're just exceeding 100 million. Yeah, so this is the gap. Like if we could onboard those traditional people onto our ecosystem, it's not just saying that we're not talking into a level that, let's say we take the 2 million ADA market shares from MinSwap, but maybe we will onboard in another 20 million ADA of trading volumes onto the ecosystem. So yeah, probably that's all I want to share. Maybe as I try to turn the floor into some discussion and Q&A if there's any. Yeah, James.
It's so fun to see all this stuff, and I'm eager to kind of learn more and more about what distinguishes this, because the demo so far looks like a lot of dexes, right? Is there any for us geeks here, are there any kind of new design patterns or anything that without giving away too much of the proprietary tech, what have you learned about Cardano development?
Yeah. So I think we have used a lot of not exactly rocket science technique, but we do have a lot of them combining together. There are a lot of hard work indeed to make it happen. For example, when you look into the depositing transactions, like when I say the first step to using DeltaDeFi is you have to deposit ADA onto the smart contract, right? We are actually doing a lot of tricks starting from that step. Like we break your UTXO to the sizes that is kind of fitting in our algorithm into the backend to really do the UTXO selection on our backend in a very efficient way. I remember it's probably just linear time in the UTXO selection. And for example, when you try to deposit 5,000 ADA onto our protocol, it will maybe just break it into like 50 or 60 different UTXO. And then also starting from that moment, we keep track on the status of every single UTXO, so that there's a way to kind of prevent the contention into the UTXO consumption. And into the desk design, we call our smart contract the smart contract of our desk virtual desk. So why is it virtual desk? Like because we only submit the transaction onto the blockchain in a chain transaction manner. So what's happening is that there's never a state on the desk smart contract. So it's also the kind of some of the details that what makes our desk so efficient in terms of processing everything, because we just make the leader transaction to be extremely minimal. Yeah. So maybe there's some, these are some points that I would like to highlight in terms of the backend design. And in terms of
this piece about UTXO management, I remember my mind was just so blown when I first heard the lengths that Wall Street traders would go to be closer to the source, and the details. But you could probably argue that even the time it takes to run a coin selection algorithm is a disadvantage. So if you guys already have that split up, and it's like, not only are we enabling this trade, but our system already knows what UTXO it's going to select. That's a compelling value.
And as of the traditional, I will also add on a bit on that direction, because our objective is to enable high frequency trading. So in our kind of database or the backend design, we also put a lot of kind of brain powers to make it as low latency as possible. For example, starting from the transaction building side, we are still using the very old school Cardano serialization library as our main library to build the transaction. Because we know that the Rust code base is at least 3 times faster than any JavaScript transaction building, this kind of thing. Although you might argue that the difference is not that substantial. For example, let's say for pure TypeScript or JavaScript transaction building, it just maybe takes up to 100 milliseconds to build a transactions. But when we talk about native Rust transaction building, usually it just take 18 or 17 milliseconds in transaction building. So it's extremely fast in terms of building the transaction, but we have to maintain the code base in Rust. This is one thing that we put a lot of effort in. But the point is we are building directly on the Rust package of Cardano serialization library. but we are not building onto the WebAssembly, the compile one. And we could, I could also share a bit more about that side. This is something that I'm really happy to share more. Yeah. So DeltaDeFi using the Rust Cardano serialization library to build it. But under the hood, we have actually implemented this package as another catalyst proposal in Fund 11, and we'll probably continue in Fund 12 to just make it into more complete, building some new feature into Mesh as well, and then integrating back into Mesh, introducing off-node transaction evaluations, off-chain code, unit testing, those kind of cool things. When we talk about this library, we have indeed me and our engineers in team, which is DY, we have implemented exactly the same pattern as a Mesh lower level API. Just when we look into the core, it has this complete function. It has this complete sync function. And then it has, maybe I could just take use of interface. Just look into the interface, maybe it will tell us a lot. Like here, here's the interface. It has the complete function. It has a transaction hash function to get the transaction hash. Complete signing, send one to put in signing key on the backend to do multi-sig. TXIN script, TXIN datum value, TXIN datum inline datum present, and it's indeed 100% identical to this Mesh lower level API, but we just implemented this same package in Rust because we want the extremely low latency. And this is something that we also have pretty complete inline documentation. So if there's any Rust developer here, you could probably try to use it. And what's even cooler is that we have implemented some experimental features to just evaluate the transaction of a Cardano node using some TS pipe infrastructure, UPLC and Palace primitive types. And there's a lot of new things here. DeltaDeFi is making this library, doing the feature development right now. And probably after this one is completed, we will just transfer everything to Mesh. And then we will be the team to be committed into maintaining it, and also with the Mesh team as well. So this is one thing that we actually put a lot of efforts to make everything to be extremely efficient as we plan. The second thing is about the interaction between the servers. Like we do the transaction building server in Rust. However, our API server is indeed in Golang. And we do a lot of traditional backend kind of engineering to putting them onto the same instance, using the gRPC protocol to do the connection, to make the kind of the latency is also somewhere around single digit to 11 or 15, those kind of milliseconds. So in terms of transaction building round trip, it's actually just within double-digit milliseconds. And then for most of the latency is indeed something that we cannot optimize. For example, when the server is placed in Hong Kong, while you're hitting an API from the United States, that's the speed of light limiting the latency. So we try to do a lot of things to really to minimize the latency because we want to take care of the traders. So yeah, this is something that we're really happy to share, and hopefully there are more and more people to think about this design pattern as well. Yeah, I remember, sorry for this extremely long explanation. I remember there's another hands up on the ground. What's the other questions?
No, don't apologize, man. I think it's brilliant. I'm really kind of turned on by this, and I wish I had enough money to justify high-speed trading just to do it.
Yeah, and Juan, do you have any question?
Thank you, Hinson. This is, I just see that with this it's going to be very interesting what is going to happen with trading, and I see that you are kind of pioneer on that on this area, and so my question is open source. What part of the project? And I know you have a bunch of I mean, a big chunk of it is already open source, but I wanted to just follow up on that a little bit, based on the fact that this is based on a proposal that you did on Fund 10, right? And it's impressive.
Fund 11.
Fund 11, and you already have it done. Precise. That's delivery, great. Congratulations on that. But yes, how open source plays on this delivery?
Yep. I think my ideal stage is always to try to open source everything. But as a business point of view, and also when we want to take care of the feeling of our investors, probably we cannot do that. But for some of the extremely core pieces that really we have to assure the users, those pieces will be open sourcing all of them. Like for example, the smart contract, that will be probably the first one that will be open sourced. Although there is also some tricks that we use to optimize the script, but we do not really see the smart contract as the kind of the competitive advantage or the edge of our projects. And yeah, so that one will be probably the first things to open source. And then maybe we will also open source the off-chain code as well, because after all, there's not much secrets in terms of the off-chain code when you're really building a transaction back to the users, because from that end, they could always just pass the transaction back and then just see what's happening. And that piece of code is, I think it's a pretty good reference for the community to see how to build transaction on Rust code base natively, and then host it as a backend service, interacting with the front end. And then as of the API server, probably that's the part that we will not open source, because for that part, it includes too much of the kind of the business logic, and then maybe something also about some traditional cybersecurities and those kind of thing, and business logic. Those things we would not open source. But for most of the thing, including the architecture and the design, we have committed in the Fund 11 proposals. I will just write it up and then disclose everything out, like the architecture, nearly most of it. But yeah, for this DeltaDeFi things to just really go live is indeed not the technology the most difficult part. It's indeed how to composing every pieces together. That's the most difficult parts. Like so we are not really that afraid that our kind of idea being copied by other desks, because when you try to build it, it's just too many weird blockers around everything.
Got it. Yeah, the other question I have for you is that the one thing that every project needs, which is sustainability and incentives. So what is the outcome when this platform is online? I mean, the project is done. What do you expect from this project in terms of sustainability? How that will be done in terms of, if you want to name it, in terms of data or in terms of capability for your lab to be able to develop more? What is your thought about that? You're thinking of that?
Like how to make it kind of sustainable, right? Like making sure our team is still upgrading or maintaining this protocol.
Well, basically sustainable in terms of you guys being able to continue with the project, which is one of the goals that the Catalyst has right now, and everybody has in terms of having a project that is going to be sustainable throughout the time, and eventually elaborate on upgrades and stuff like that, because things will change, and eventually there will be something faster that is going to be competitive with you guys. So yeah, and on that direction, how is the lab prepared for that?
Yeah, I think we are pretty much in a. I slightly touched on this angle during my very, very long presentation, but our kind of ongoing roadmap is we are more of circling around the Cardano technology, but we'll go for adoption kind of direction. So that's where we also start to thinking about some private blockchain or private layer 2, those kind of design, where me and Jingles has actually put up one proposal in this Catalyst round as well to deliver this Cardano service layer framework. So it's pretty much just having a framework for everyone just to spin up another Cardano clone. You could see it like there's one graph here for it. Yeah, simple illustration. Like for every owner of this Cardano service layer, you could customize the protocol parameters. For example, you want to waive the fee, make the transaction size as big as possible per block. And then, yeah, no min UT, so those kind of very weird stuff. And then, however, every tester is still Cardano. Like you could still write Icon smart contract. You could still use Mesh to build the transaction. You could still use the same kind of BlockForce-like node infrastructure to query everything you need from the blockchain. And then because it's Cardano tech, every record is still immutable. Although it may sound like if you're spinning up a private blockchain, but it's actually not that private or public, making the record mutable or immutable. You could see some earlier industry example like Hyperledger fabrics. Yeah, those are some private blockchains actually happening in the industry, is still providing record immutabilities. This is also some of the directions that we have been talking with our potential investors, and they're pretty interested into it, and we are figuring out a way to also make this happen so that the DeltaDeFi tech could also be somewhere existing in some of the centralized services in the futures as well. Onto the Cardano mainnet blockchain, this is something that we will definitely keep maintaining forever until we go bankrupt. And this is also a place that we will see more of a very, very first playground or area that we could directly interact with the end users to test out any features, so that we could also build on the features, improving onto some of our corporate partnership in the futures. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, just one quick question, just to finish something that you mentioned, the investors. Tell me about that. How do we expect? I mean, what are the things that you will look into an investor for your business, for your project?
Yeah, this is a question about startups. So for me, probably my kind of first priority or our ideal investors is someone who really care about tech and product. So this is always our first priority type of investors. When they just care about the tech and product, they will not ask anything about token in first few meetings. Those are the ideal investors that we're really looking for. But in the crypto spaces, if you ever start to look around anything about crypto startups, it's indeed every VC flooded in around different ecosystem. Prior to they asking you anything about tech and product, they will ask you how's your tokenomic, how's the distribution, how many percentage they will get, how's the locking, how you push it to the market, how you find market makers to make your token as liquid as possible so that they can cash out, this kind of thing. So from a point of view, because we pretty much just a bunch of builders, like we all surrounding like Gimbalabs, we know that we are more of a builder community. We are more kind of building in our instinct is we like to build something that is really useful and we find it satisfying or just feel happy in general to build something cool. And this is also me as well. So I just want to find some investors really align with our direction of building. It may sound like something impossible to the Cardano ecosystem so far, because every Cardano startup might know how difficult it is to find an investor, or you have to go for talking to Emergo directly because it's something that really close to Cardano ecosystem and understand the tech, understand product. However, we're also talking to other investors about this idea as well. And one thing special about our team is that we're actually not mostly software engineer, although I will also identify myself as a software engineer, but indeed my background is coming from traditional finance. So that's where putting me onto a kind of a easier spot to talk about the pain points, talk about the tech, talk about how to solve those pain points like most of my ex-colleagues, let's say. So general, I'm feeling the momentum, but yeah, we still have to take time to work hard on that direction as well.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I see Ken has his hands up, but I just want to just mention something related to that, which is what I heard is really great. You are really have a vision and you have clear sense of what is that the product is going to be at the end and what you guys do as a lab. But then the things that we have to prepare, because eventually when the bull run comes, a lot of people will come with intentions to invest and all that. So it's great that you have that clear, that you have that vision of having something that really benefits the community and the ideas grow instead of tokenomics. Great. Hinson, thank you so much. Great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully I could bring it to all of you as soon as possible. Yeah,
I'm impressed.
So let's imagine that you're insanely successful. Where do you see bottlenecks that you might run into if the system's being used more than you expect?
Yeah, I think the bottleneck is probably some bottlenecks running into Binance and interactive brokers. It's actually the same. It's indeed the kind of Web2 tech stuff, the most difficult part at the end of the day I could expect when the application scales to a certain level. So I could just talk about a bit more about the Audible engine, for example. We have one engine for every single trading pairs to just try to process the orders flow. And why we have to do one engine per one trading pair? It's because it is our kind of mechanism to ensure the fairness to the users. We have a publicly announced kind of order priorities, which is currently we are designed as price time priorities. We always choose the best price for the users. If there are two orders with the best prices, we will just choose the order comes first. So this is what price time priorities mean. And when we want to run this price time priority, let's say, for example, 100 users just hitting the API exactly the same moment to place an order. And we want to just rank those actions from the users so that we know that the liquidity is taken by user A, but not user B, because user A's network come, let's say, 2 milliseconds faster than user B. So that's why the Audible engine has to be in single thread. And single thread mean that we can only scale the instance vertically, but not horizontally. We always have to just keep one trading pair Audible engine in one instance. So those are the very, very technical stuff that existing in the industry for tens of years already, but it's still difficult at this moment as well. And currently in our team, although we have got some very experienced software engineer, but we are still a little bit distant, far from, let's say, the tech lead in any of the FANG companies, those kind of level. And probably we will run into the bottleneck in that direction. We'll have to hire some extremely capable engineers who doesn't necessarily know about Cardano or the blockchain, but just technology in general, just to make our kind of system scalable. So this is, yeah, something that I could foresee will happening pretty soon if our partners are really doing the job. For example, our friends are really placing 1,000 order every second, then we will run into this problem very, very soon.
Thanks for the answer.
Yeah, Sebastian.
Yeah, congratulations, Vincent. Really good piece of tech. Just a curiosity. The other side of a position is taken by other user, right? For the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, and that could change if talking about regulation clarity of all this stuff. Maybe some market makers can appear, right? Can enter to the system and start to take the other side of the whole positions, maybe step by step, not completely as in the web in the market in general, but maybe they can start to take some piece of the business and take the other side of the positions from the people. In your opinion, what aside of the besides of the regulation thing, what's the other or other things that can facilitate the entry of the market makers to this Web3 market world? Because for liquidity aspects, it's really important the presence of the market makers in the ecosystem. Let's say about only Cardano. But my question is, what are the other ways that this process can be better? Okay, that's it.
Yeah. So far of our understanding, when we talk to some market maker, we do actually have already talked to a few market makers. Some of them even have the experience of working with some of the existing desks on Cardano right now. And so far, this is actually the 2 points that they really appreciating us. Like, it's just going back to the first few minutes of my presentation, creating order, canceling order. For every kind of the engagement of those market makers to some other existing desks right now on Cardano, they do have to come up with a perfect alignment into who's covering that cost. And usually the project side is feeling very painful to cover that piece of cost for the users, because you just know that when you just changing order, hundreds of order every seconds, it would be very costly, like costing you maybe single digit or even double digit of ADA per second if you really have to do that operations. So this is one thing that when we talk to the market makers, they're feeling really happy about this. However, what's even make them more happy or happier is that I could share some of the code snippet of how API trading actually did look like. Because actually from our front end, we are still calling the same API as the API trader to help the user to place the orders. Like for example, for these buttons that everyone's clicking to place the order, is indeed just hitting exactly the same API from the backend. So we have tried to build some test transaction on our own. And this is how calling a limit order is like. It's actually just crafting a JSON. Like this is every information that you just have to provide to us. It's indeed pretty similar to what the con traders are doing API call to the Binance order book, for example. But what's different is that when they want to submit the transaction, they do have to cite the transaction first, and then they hit another API call to submit the transactions. So when the market makers that where we talked to have talked to before, when we taught them about this, that actually from their point of view, they could just treat it like trading on some centralized exchanges. So that's where although I'm showing you a lot of different complex pieces about UTXO management, transaction building in Rust, gRPC protocol between API server and Rust, and how to minimize latencies, audible engines, those kind of things. But at the end of the day, those traders or end users, they just have to craft JSON like this to interact with the DEXs. So that's where we also kind of lower a lot of the kind of entry barriers onto trading into DeFi. So I think on the kind of the order management cost, it's just kind of taking 80% of the market makers kind of consideration of whether pooling any liquidity into any ecosystem. Like for example, right now in Cardano is extremely high order management cost. There's actually not such thing as order management when you have to charge a cost on order creation and cancellation. And 20% of the consideration is actually going into integrations. Like for example, for some fully decentralized protocol, you have to, on the client side, you build the transaction, or maybe the projects will expose you some library SDK to help you to craft your Cardano transaction to submit yourself. But that's really headache and painful for those market makers that just coming on Cardano purely for trading. So yeah, I think this is somewhere we really lower the entry barriers for them. And what we need from them is just having the most painful part for us is just we have to having some sessions just holding their hands tight, tell them how to generate, for example, a private key and public key pairs from Cardano CLI, and then how to withdraw the ADA to that particular addresses, and then how to use the private key to cite the transactions. Those kind of things will be the most difficult part for us. But already it has kind of abstract a lot of different difficulty out. Especially, on this point, I also think about one more thing to mention is after you have deposited your money into the smart contract itself, and after that step, it actually just takes nothing about your wallet information to do further transactions. Like for example, when you want to do some min swap kind of swap transaction, for every swap you want to do, probably you have to query, they will do the kind of querying on your wallet side, let's say getting the UTXO information from your Eternal wallet, getting collateral from your Eternal wallet, and then counting if the UTXO is too large or too big, containing too much worthless tokens that hitting up the transaction size, those kind of limitations. And there may be some sort of weird bust happening. However, in our DeltaDeFi application design, is that only this depositing or withdrawing transaction that actually we have to look into your wallet, see what UTXO you have. But after it is everything multi-sig. We just need your signature to do it. So that's also some of the key points that why we could ensure that every transaction that must be successful if there's no weird backend logic errors from our end. Like if we compute everything correctly, we are kind of 100% that sure that your transaction will just pass through. So that this is some of the also value proposition that we provide to the con traders, that they build the transaction, they submit the transaction, is 100% passing. So I think these are some of the very tightly details or UX features that we built really focus or directly to those con traders that for other DEXs right now, I would say, for example, just the major one, they do not really cater for those high frequency traders to build these features. But that being said, when we try to cater the high frequency trader on this, we do have some sort of sacrifice. Like we centralize the process, we do the order matching for the users. Those are the sacrifices. For other DEXs, they might not want to do so, because I would say for most of them, they want to stay 100% decentralized. Like maybe even the order matching kind of things. I do think there is a market need for that direction, but for DeltaDeFi, we are not targeting the same market, but we are targeting more like a brand new market segment, which is those high frequency traders. Yeah. And they're pretty happy about it when I talk about these things.
Sure, and again, congratulations. But because I think this is the one of the best moments to build this kind of technology, but not for the next bull market or something like that. It's because it's well known in the markets that the technology like of the exchanges or the institutional technology is a piece of crap. So maybe when all the regulatory comes to a more clarity, these big investors, for example, the market makers, or all these people will come with that kind of investment, huge investment, to try to participate in this kind of tech, because this is high tech. This is the best technology in terms of marketing, in terms of markets, and that currently exist. So, congrats. Well done, man.
So, but I mean, how far away are you from wrapping up the remaining issues?
I think
within a week. It's
because, for
front-end
example,
issue mostly.
Sure. No,
Yeah, for example,
no, sorry, I just want to say
account as well. Those kind of thing, like the very typical Cardano operation, we still having a little bit bugs in terms of the front end connectivity, like selecting utility without enough value, just very, very minor ones. But these already making the user cannot start testing, just merely relying on the front end. So this is some final piece of gaps that we are trying to close. And another thing is probably I have to write up some of the user documentation and guide before letting others to use, because it's just a little bit difficult to find the correct button one. Like we do not opt for end users, but we do put most of our kind of UX efforts onto the kind of API patterns, this kind of things rather. So yeah, this is something that probably take one more week, hopefully. And yeah, I could start bringing it to a kind of broader community to test it.
I mean, do you think I've been surprised the last few weeks or couple of months at how little participation is happening on Cardano testnets, and I'm wondering how viably you can test the platform with the way things are right now. I mean, can you bake much of this?
Because our kind of one of our core value proposition is that we could run on a relatively slow blockchain. However, we're still providing instant order confirmation to the users. So actually, pre-port is even a better environment for us to test it, because pre-port is everyone's at least 20x slower. Yes, 20x slower than the mainnet. So if we can kind of still offer the same user experience to the user on pre-port, probably on mainnet is only can be better for the users. So we just still try to ensure all those value propositions that I mentioned: zero order creation fee, cancellation fee, instant order confirmations, those kind of thing still happening perfectly on pre-port prior to going to mainnet. Yeah.
I think if you can get happy with this as quick as it sounds like, and you're already in contact with these people in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
We were, like there's clearly going to be some larger sum of money going to marketing for Cardano. You know, and I would think it could be possible that you could be doing this later, that it could happen this bull run. I really see that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually seeing some already that there are actually some kind of activities that are happening kind of on Hong Kong side or on our kind of non-Cardano ecosystem side that we are seeing that some resources are moving around already, but it's too early for me to make any public announcement on anything. So yeah, we're still working on pretty hard on that side, like off the Cardano ecosystem blockchain, but in the real world, talking in the real traditional finance people, this kind of thing. And yeah, hopefully I could also bring some news to the Cardano ecosystem in the coming quarters as well.
Hey, I was wondering who you're using USDX as your trading pair for ADA. Who made USDX? Who is that?
It's actually for us, we'll probably be required to go into mainnet launch. We have to probably choose one stablecoin partners, but we do not make this conversation or decide choice make it yet. So that's why we just put on an X, referring.
Oh, it's not a real one.
Like,
okay, you're just
yeah.
using that for display. Okay, I was gonna say I haven't heard of that, but where's that?
Yeah, because this is one motivation behind is that we don't want to fragment the liquidity. Like for most people, they trade on either when they trade on another coin in the trading pair, for example, is coin, their user kind of feature needed is that they want to putting some of their risky asset off risk, and that's it. And then probably onto any stablecoin is kind of identical to them because it's just the value just staying flat tying to US dollar. So that's why we want to group these kind of people in the same market so that there's not, let's say 30% user using USDA trading pair, 50% people using USDM, 20% using IUSD. We don't want this thing to be happening. We just want every user want to trade either is trading against the same stablecoin. So that's why we're just putting X right now, just indicating it's just any one of them. We do not make the choice yet.
I mean, I may be wrong, but I really believe that what you're doing in Hong Kong with all these different projects is probably going to do more than all of the Ethereum bridge projects out there. You know, I think it's much more important to me that you succeed in what you're doing than, you know, whatever success these people who want to bridge to Solana or bridge to Ethereum, wherever they want to go. I just think this is where the long-term value is. So anytime you need a back rub or a pick me up, you let me know. I'm gonna make you feel good.
Yeah, sure. Probably I could also add you in our alpha testing group. So just
okay.
Give you to try some very sketchy product.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, sure. We're actually hosting a alpha testing group inside the CDAN Lab Discord. I could also send that out. Just any one of you, I will, yeah, coordinate. Let me try to drop the link in the chat here as well.
I just joined the Discord channel, and I recommend everybody to do the same. It can be found on the website.
The Discord link cutting off a bit right now. Can anyone hear me, actually?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you've been breaking up the last few minutes, but most of we understand most of what you're saying.
I see. Yeah, we don't have a dedicated Discord server on DeltaDeFi yet. We're just organizing everything under CDAN Lab right now. So also organizing the alpha testing group inside CDAN Lab as well. Yeah. Hope all of you enjoy my sharing today. Next time, if I really try to schedule this thing, I will probably have my product demo ready live. This is something that, area of improvement for me.
Oh man, no, this is the space for those early demos though, and I appreciate you doing it here. Just promise to do it again in the fall when everything's really like up and working, right?
Yeah.
Super exciting. And you've been having a chance to talk to you about this. I know how hard you and the team have been working on this. Be sure to say congrats to TY as well.
Yeah. It's helping a lot, really a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, anybody watching this, we do this on Tuesdays, 1800 UTC, and we only have a couple sessions left over the next few weeks before we break for, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, summer vacation. So hope to see everybody over the next few Tuesdays. We'll also keep it going at Gimbalabs Open Spaces tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and Thursday. That's at 14 UTC. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Till next time. Cheers, everybody. Thanks, Vincent.
Cheers.